Hey guys, Nathan here from Running Warehouse Australia, and today we're having a chat with Sam from Tarkine, co-founder and co-shoe designer, about their new Tarkine Trail Devil 2.
Nathan, good to chat to you today. I'm excited to chat a bit about the Devil.
So we're into the second version of the Trail Devil now, which is really exciting. A few changes in the midsole and the upper. Do you want to take us through them, Sam?
All right, so there's been a few changes and improvements from season one. First of all, the outsole. The base layer that the lugs sit on, so the lugs are still 3.5mm, but we've reduced the thickness, so the width of the base layer by 1mm, which has reduced the weight a lot and made the shoe a little bit more flexible. Secondly, and as you mentioned, the midsole, it's now a PEBA infused midsole, and most of the weight saving comes from the midsole. It also makes the shoe incredibly bouncy, and as we all argue here, that it's one of the fastest trail shoes in the world right now. The last change we made is for the upper. So the upper is now kind of a cross between a road and trail upper. It's incredibly tough. It doesn't break, it doesn't get holes if you have bunions or anything, but it doesn't really feel like it doesn't have overbuilt overlays here, and it feels a bit like a road upper, but incredibly strong.
So you spoke about the addition of that PEBA in that midsole. I found the first version to be more kind of daily trainerish out on the trails. Where do you see this now with the infusion of the PEBA in that midsole?
We've definitely made that transition to being more of an elite shoe, and we did that on purpose, right? Like we wanted to create a trail shoe for race day, for those trail races where people really want to kind of maximize their performance. It's still great for everyday runners to just go at whatever pace you feel like. But for those elite athletes out there that want to win and want to just be in the fastest shoe possible, it caters to that market, which was like a key step forward for us.
Yep. So it has had a little price rise. It's gone up to 260 AUD, which is still quite a well-priced trail shoe in my opinion, with the addition of PEBA. Did you keep a consideration of how much it went up with everything?
Yeah, it was the price rise from 240 to 260 is all because of the PEBA. PEBA, as everyone knows, costs a lot and is expensive, and we just, I think 260 is a really well-priced shoe in terms of talking about a PEBA trail shoe, which there aren't that many around, and there are shoes on the market for a lot more than 260. So I think it's fair, and I hope,
Yeah, I definitely think so, with the performance that you're going to get out of this shoe with the addition of the PEBA. Yeah. So the outsole is a 3.5mm lug outsole. Did you go through a lot of testing for this outsole? Because it is a little bit lower. So what kind of technical terrains did you take it on to test it out on?
Yeah, like our first prototypes had, we did prototypes for 3.5, 4.5, and I think it was a 5mm lug options. And it's obviously designed for Australia. We just felt that the trade-off in weight to go up and just have another 0.5mm or 1mm lugs wasn't worth it. The majority of trails we felt in Australia were totally adequate with 3.5mm lugs. It wasn't worth the extra weight. We are developing like a new shoe called the Peak Devil, right? It's a very similar shoe but with 6mm lugs, and it's designed for the UK market, which we're moving into late next year. So
sneak peek.
Yeah. I feel for the majority of Australian trails, 3.5mm lugs is suffice. I remember talking to a bunch of, shop owners, I think yourself even, about it at the time, and there was consensus that was a kind of a good kind of level of depth for our first trail shoe.
Yeah. So obviously Tarkine has a focus on sustainability, and the upper is recycled, I believe. How do you balance performance, which you've got in this shoe now with the addition of PEBA, and that sustainability?
It's a good question, and it's really hard. There's a lot of greenwashing that goes out there, and we try and be incredibly transparent as possible with the whole thing. The most green thing is to not make a shoe whatsoever, just like all wear bare feet, right? Obviously, we all love shoes. They're very fun and they make you run quicker.
Functional.
Yeah, and so we're doing everything we can, right? Recycled uppers, we recycle the shoes post-use, we're giving 1% of revenue, and the PEBA and the midsole, sure, like the durability of the shoe maybe falls by 3 or 4 or 5%, right? But the performance goes up a lot more than that, and so the trade-off is worth it. But yeah, there's no way around it, mate. There's always going to be an impact. We're carbon offsetting stuff, we're planting trees. I feel that we're going to more extremes than any other brand in the world, and we're just going to continue to do it and continue to be transparent, and that's as best as we can do right now.
Yeah. So in testing, how far have you taken a pair of Trail Devil 2s to in Ks?
I believe Josh Chugg, who won Mugs, has a record for Mug River Ultra, has done well over 1,000. That's a mix of road and trail. I've put about 980 Ks in one pair, and it's still going, right? I haven't chucked them out yet, I'm just still going in them. They're still durable.
Yep.
The bounciness will wear off, not wear off, but just slowly reduce.
Yep.
It's not going to be as fresh as out the box after 600 or 700 K, but it's still, the shoe lasts,
Functional.
Yeah.
And so being a young and up and coming brand, how do you find it competing against some of the bigger players in kind of new tech coming out or new kind of trends, and how do you pivot into new shoes or changing things? Is it easier or do you find it harder?
I mean, it's ruthless, and it's obviously hard because we're up against multi-billion-dollar conglomerates, right? But we do have a lot going for us in our advantage as well, right? We can pivot incredibly quickly. We can make decisions within minutes, whereas there's a lot of red tape the bigger the company is, the more red tape, right? We don't have any of that. But it's hard, it's competitive, but I think might be an unpopular thing to say, but it's not SpaceX, right? We're not making rockets to Mars. It is shoes, and shoes are very technical. There's a lot of tech that goes into it. I'm not taking away from that. But if you have your ears to the ground and you're constantly listening and constantly pivoting, you can keep up with the giants. And there's a lot of tech overseas in the countries that manufacture this stuff. And they are moving incredibly quickly because it's huge business for them. And so, yeah, we can keep up. We just need to be quick and nimble and stay on top of it.
Yep. Okay, and talking about tech and being able to pivot, can you take us through kind of shoe from idea in yours or Ross's brain into then kind of final product which goes to market?
Yeah, so we'll come up with an idea, then we usually chat to people we trust. You're one of them, there's a bunch of others, and we just make sure that the industry thinks it's a decent idea. Then we get our designers and we start designing and sketching, and that takes a while, longer than you'd think. Just stuffing around. It starts literally just on a sketch pad or an iPad, just sketching it out, coming up with concepts and ideas. And then after that, you go to the prototyping stage, right? So the way that works is this is a road racing shoe we're working on, and this shoe weighs a ton because it's got a PU mock-up mold that it all involves, shaping out the shoe the way you want it, making sure you're happy. This process is relatively cheap. Once you're happy with the molding on this kind of dummy model, then you can open a mold, and that's where the massive expenses come in shoemaking when you open molds. Mold costs can vary from $2,000 US to $7,500 US per half size, right? So the costs, if you're doing a run of shoes with 17 sizes, it costs a heap. So that's how it all works. It all just starts with a pencil and paper and chat in, and then you just slowly go from there.
Yep. Sam, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciated the chat. I know I learned something. Hopefully you guys learned something as well. You can find the new Trail Devil 2 at Running Warehouse Australia, runningwarehouse.com.au.